Hi everyone, I hope you've all been well. Welcome back to my channel. I've had a little bit of time off from the Eurovision season just to kind of have a break. I've been on holiday and also just to give things a little bit of time to rest after the final, because I know there was a lot of kind of anger and backlash against the results. And of course, you know, people's opinions are valid. You know, you're allowed to be upset when your favourite doesn't win and not win, but there was a lot of toxicity going around and I wanted to give things a little bit of time to just kind of relax a bit, chill, before kind of discussing and dissecting the results in detail. So what I'm going to be doing today is basically looking at my predictions that I made a month ago and comparing them to the actual results and just discussing kind of things that I got correct, things that were kind of close to correct, things that were really far away. Just a quick video going through the results, another kind of nerdy analysis, but not as nerdy as my jury analysis video. I don't think I could ever top the nerdiness in that video, which has now reached 20,000 views. I have absolutely no idea why my longest video ever, almost, you know, an hour 15 minutes, has 20,000 views and a really great response. I was so flattered by the comments and just how nice you guys were, and appreciative of the hard work that went into that video. And if you're new here as well, I know I gained a few more subscribers. Welcome. So let's get straight into this. I'm going to split this video into 4 parts. So I'll be looking at semi-final 1, semi-final 2, the rest of the world televote in the grand final, and then the grand final results. So let's start with semi-final 1. Now, how I've decided to kind of structure the analysis of my results is anything I've put in green basically means I've got it correct within the actual result, and then anything in yellow is plus or minus 3 places out, and then anything in red is over 3 places out. So for semi-final 1, I got 1 prediction correct, which was Finland winning the semi-final. Now, of course, because it is a televote only semi-final, it was kind of obvious that Finland was probably going to win this one. And if it wasn't going to be Finland, it was probably going to be Sweden or Norway. So it was a good guess for me and I got that one correct. But everything else I got was, you know, kind of just a little bit off or quite far off. So in the end, I got 60% of the semi-final predictions within 3 off, which is pretty good for me. It's not too bad. And then 40% of my predictions were more than 3 places out. So we'll look at the ones that I got within 3. So I predicted that Sweden would finish 3rd in the semi-final and they actually came 2nd. I think it was just a general kind of apprehension that Sweden don't tend to do very well in the televote, but actually because I think Lorene's star power and general good performance, she pulled in quite a good amount of televote points and ended up coming a distant 2nd, but still pretty good in the semi-final. And I also predicted Moldova to come 4th and they came 5th, so 1 off. I think they had a decent televote appeal with their song as well. Switzerland, I predicted them to come 8th and they came 7th, so 1 off again. Croatia, I predicted 6th and they came 8th. Portugal, 11th, so I didn't think they'd qualify, and they actually came 9th. Now, when I was in the arena for Portugal, it was really important to see the crowd reaction to this one, and it was really received so well by the crowd. Everyone really enjoyed this one. So when I watched it live, I thought, actually, do you know what? I do think this is going to go through, and I was really pleased because I love the song in general. So yeah, they came 9th, which is great. And then I predicted that Ireland would come 14th and they came 12th. So I know they only got, you know, just a small amount of points. Was it 10 or 12 points? Which is, you know, finishing in 12th place in a semi-final is very, very low. But still, you know, I was 2 places off for that. Netherlands, I predicted would come 12th and they came 13th. And Azerbaijan, I predicted 13th and they came 14th. So 1 place out for both of those. So I'm actually quite happy with my predictions in this case. I predicted 9 out of 10 of the qualifiers, which is great. But this is where things go slightly more awry. So I predicted that Malta would qualify in 10th place and they actually came last with 3 points, and it was ending up in 5 positions off from my prediction. So this was kind of upsetting for me, obviously, because being half Maltese as well, you're kind of rooting for them. I was rooting for them in the football yesterday against England, which was such a conflicting feeling inside, you know, like trying to cheer for Malta to score against England for Kane to miss his penalty. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed to see that Malta came last in the semi-final. Televote only, they always struggle in the televote, and I think potentially the running order let it down as well, being 2nd. It looked really good on stage and people really enjoyed it, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, when you're voting just public only, this is the kind of thing that could get lost, and it got really lost. Another country that I got really far off, but I'm actually really happy that I got it far off, was Latvia. So I actually predicted them to finish last and they came 11th. They were the borderline. They were only about 2 or 3 points off qualifying from Serbia being in 10th. So that was pretty good. And another one was Serbia. I predicted to come 5th and they came 10th. So in the arena, again, this one was really interesting to kind of watch because the studio track is very strong and the national final performance was very strong, but actually in the arena you couldn't really hear Luke singing, and the kind of sound of the bass, just the pure kind of depth of the bass in the song, completely drowned out everything else, and you could see that the crowd wasn't really vibing with the performance until the very end when there was more of a dance move put in. So that was interesting. So I'm surprised it qualified, but it's still good because it is one of my favourite songs this year. But yeah, I think, you know, 10th, still pretty good, but I thought it would do better. Another one was my prediction for Norway was 2nd and they came 6th. So I was 4 places out, but then again, in the actual final, they came 3rd in the televote. So this was purely a running order thing. Opening the semi-final just kind of put them in a bad position to actually do really, really well in the televote, but still 6th, pretty good. And then Czechia, I predicted 9th and they came 4th, which is really, really good. I was worried about this one's chances a few weeks before the semi-final, just because of the rehearsals, the pre-parties, but they pulled it out the bag and they actually did really well in the televote. They were 4th. That's fantastic, especially as this was my 3rd favourite song of the year. That was something I was really happy about. And then the final one that I was slightly off with was Israel. So I predicted them to come 7th and they came 3rd. So for this one, I was just trying to be prudent because in the previous years, we've had kind of female pop bop entries like Cyprus in 2021, which I predicted to do really well in the semi, and they actually didn't do too well at all. They qualified, but kind of barely. So that's why I put Israel in 7th this year, just to be a bit safe. But because of her star power, and I think also having the rest of the world vote, which gave her 12 points, she did really well, and that's great to see. So that is what I predicted for semi-final 1. Not too bad, 60% within 3 places. I'm okay, I'll take that. And now let's have a look at semi-final 2. So the picture of this one is a little bit different here because I didn't get a single one correct in terms of the exact placing of the televote, but I did get 81% within 3 places. So I was really pleased with that. This was actually one of my best predictions of a semi-final placing that I've ever done. So I was really happy with this. So Australia won the semi-final and I predicted them to finish in 2nd, and that was really great to see. Obviously one of my favourite songs as well, doing really well, winning the televote, but not actually doing as well in the final, probably because people switched their allegiance to countries like Finland and Norway in that case. But still, Australia, a rock song, a metal song, progressive metal, finishing in 1st was just really great to see. And then Austria, I predicted them to come 3rd and they came 2nd, which was great. This performance felt a little bit flat for me in terms of just how it could have been from the music video, and then how it actually was executed on stage was 2 very different things, and it kind of lost a bit of its jokiness to me and that kind of quirkiness, that very kind of charismatic side of it was lost. But still, because it came 2nd, it's one of Austria's best televote results in a semi-final for a couple of years, so that's fantastic. And then Lithuania, I predicted them to come 5th and they came 4th, so really close there. And Slovenia, I predicted them to come 4th and they came 5th, also really close, so I just kind of switched those 2 around. Cyprus, I predicted 9th and they came 7th, so again they qualified a little bit stronger than I predicted. Belgium, I predicted 6th and they came 8th, so 2 spaces out. This one did so well in the final as well, which I was really pleased to see. This one was kind of underrated by everyone for a long time, and then in the weeks leading up to the final it was gaining momentum, and so its top 10 finish in general I think people were really happy about and accepted the result, you know, with a fondness, which is good. And then Albania, I predicted to come 7th and they came 9th, so again 2 places out. And then the next 2 I had were 3 places out, so Estonia, they qualified in 10th, but I predicted 13th, so that was really great to see. In a televote only semi-final, they still, you know, with a power ballad, with more of a slower paced song, they qualified. And I think it was mainly because of the vocal performance and just how great she was live. people kind of were blown away by that and they voted for it, which is, you know, that's fantastic to see. Iceland, I predicted 14th and they came 11th, just a borderline. They're just missing out, which is, you know, it's sad. She had a very strong vocal, one of the best of the night, but it just, in the grand scheme of things, didn't rack up enough televotes. But hopefully next year they'll come back with something strong and we'll qualify again to the final. And then Greece, I predicted 12th and they came 13th, so again, pretty close prediction. Denmark, I predicted 11th and they actually came 14th, and they didn't get too many points in the end. I think most of their points, I think all their points came from Iceland or something like that. So that was quite disappointing. But then opening the show, you know, it got lost. The live performance wasn't as magical as it could have been. It didn't quite suit the whole sonic quality of the song, this kind of fresh and modern indie pop song. It just didn't all fall into place. But still, you know, they didn't finish in the last places, which I will come to now. So Romania and San Marino getting 0 points was kind of sad. Obviously, they both weren't my favourites, especially Romania. It was my last place of the year, but 0 points, I feel like they could have at least had a couple of points. It just feels a bit sad. But I predicted Romania to come in 16th and they came 15th, San Marino to come 15th and they came 16th, but it was more of a tiebreaker situation. So I'm just doing it based on positions that I had put in there, but they both came last. So, you know, it's quite sad. And then these are the ones that I got quite far off. So the first one is Poland. So I predicted 10th, so just scraping through, but they actually came 3rd. So this one is one I've had a bit of a journey with. I'm still not a massive fan of the song. It's one of my least favourites of the year. And the rehearsal footage was just kind of shockingly bad. And I was really surprised at all the effects that they've thrown into the performance, but they tidied things up a little bit. So then when she did her live performance in the semi-final, for instance, the glitching effect had been taken away in the dance break and it actually looked pretty good. The dance break came together really well. They changed a few things in the track to kind of add more light and shade. And in the end, you know, when you look back, this improved so much. And I'm not mad that it went to the final. I just think, you know, there was other songs in here that didn't qualify, such as Georgia, that might have benefited a bit more from being in the final in terms of just, you know, their non-qualification streak in a way. But yeah, Poland did really, really improve in this case. And I kind of underrated it in my prediction. And, you know, that's all right. And then Armenia, I actually predicted to win the semi-final. I think this was gaining a lot of momentum from the photographs that had been published of the rehearsal and also the dance break that had been added in. In the end, it came 6th, which is still pretty good. I think I overrated this one quite a bit. But, you know, 5 places off, not too bad. And they still ended up finishing mid-table, so that's all right. And then, of course, Georgia I had as a qualifier, so I had them in 8th place and they ended up coming 12th. So this one really upset me. Obviously, I mentioned before, you know, the non-qualification streak has been so long for Georgia, and I just hope that next year they can qualify. They really kind of tried something a bit different this year in terms of female power ballad with more of an ethnic feel and a really, really great vocal. But yeah, it was quite competitive, and in the end, it just didn't make the cut. All in all, 81% within 3 places. I'm happy with that one as well. And now a quick look at the rest of the world televote in the final. So this one was interesting because I went in quite blind when I predicted this, but I ended up getting 7 countries out of 10 correct. Now, I wasn't kind of looking at the ranking in this. I was more looking at which countries did I think were coming in this top 10 and which ones did I get right. So in this case, Finland, I got correct, Spain, Ukraine, Sweden, France, Armenia and Israel. But I also thought that Italy, Portugal and Austria would make it in this rest of the world televote, but actually it was Albania, Norway and Croatia. And looking back, Albania did really well in the televote in the final. I think they came 10th, which is great. Norway did really well as well. I don't know why I forgot to put that one in. I should have put that one in. And Croatia, of course, this was more of a televote magnet, and you know, it must have come across really well to the voters from the rest of the world, and that's really good. So 70% of this, pretty good. I'm going to keep doing this for, you know, the next couple of years if we still have the rest of the world televote. And now let's look at the grand final results. So this one was interesting, and because of the countries, because there was 26 countries in this case, I decided to make the yellow box plus or minus 4 places instead. because there was just kind of more leeway as to where everything was going to place. So in this case, 62% of my predictions were within 4 places. So that's pretty good for me. I think last year it was in the 50%. So an improvement. So I got 2 countries correct, which was the first and second place, Sweden and Finland. So just on the day of the final, I was thinking about everything that I'd seen in the semi-finals, the momentum that was building online, the charts, and of course, Loreen already having won Eurovision. I decided to predict Sweden to win and Finland to come second, and it was so close in the end. You know, it was like 50 points apart. They both were in the 500 point bracket, which is unseen at Eurovision. It was just so close, and that's really great. I think the competition was there. It wasn't like a runaway win, and that's what I think a lot of Eurofans wanted this year. They didn't want a runaway predictable winner. They wanted competition. They wanted a close result, and that's what we got. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think those songs were good, they delivered really well live, and the fact that they got this massive amount of points just in the total, I think was really great to see. So the countries that I got in yellow here, Israel, so I predicted to come 4th and they came 3rd. So actually, you know, them coming 2nd in the jury vote was shocking to me because I didn't think the jurors would rank this type of performance and song so high, but they did, I think, just because it was very professionally done. And, you know, you can't argue with that. I think that's, you know, it was deserved to get a certain amount of points, I think 170-ish points, pretty good. Italy, I predicted 7th and they came 4th. Norway, I predicted 6th and they came 5th, and equally Ukraine, I predicted 5th and they came 6th, so pretty close. And the Belgium, I predicted 9th and they came 7th, so they did even better than I thought, and they came top 10. Really great result for Belgium. This will hopefully be the start of something new for Belgium, again building momentum to get that win that they haven't had in such a long time. And then Australia, I predicted 11th and they came 9th. I think the juries really helped them in this case, and they got another top 10 finish. Fantastic stuff. Lithuania, I predicted 12th and they came 11th, so really close there as well. Armenia, I said they would come 10th and they came 14th, so again quite close. But, you know, the televote wasn't too strong for this one, which was a shame. But I think, you know, they are building momentum as well as a country to get their first win soon, so we'll see what happens next year. And then Austria, I said would be 14th and they came 15th, so pretty close. A lot of people thought this would be top 10, but I kind of like conceded that before the final. I just thought from the live performance I'd seen, I just didn't envision this being a top 10 song in the end. And then Moldova, I had in 22nd place and they came 18th, so again 4 places out, you know, pretty close. Switzerland, I said 18th and they came 20th. Albania, I said 23rd and they came 22nd, so really close. Actually Portugal as well, 24th and 23rd. Serbia, 25th and 24th, and that is because I put the UK 19th and they came 25th. If I had actually shifted everything down, I would have got so many more answers correct. It was just my positioning of the UK. So now let's look at the countries that I got quite wrong. And the first one I got quite far off was Estonia, so 8 places out. They came 8th and I said 16th because I just didn't expect the juries to score this so high. But then when I did my jury analysis video, it made a lot more sense that this came in the top 10 anyway. So, you know, I can accept that, and I think this is really great. You know, a ballad finished in the top 10, it was rewarded, so that's good. And then Czechia, I said 17th and they came 10th, so a top 10 finish for Czechia. One of my favourite songs of the year, did well, so I'm happy with that. Cyprus, I said 21st place and they actually came 12th, so I don't know, I think just equally rewarded by juries and televote, and I guess the high notes, the ability to sing live that he delivered was rewarded really well. The next one was Croatia, so I said 20th and they came 13th. I underestimated this in terms of televote appeal. I don't know why I didn't put it higher, but I didn't, which is a shame. And the next 2 that I got really far out here was France and Spain. So France I predicted 8th and they came 16th. So that really shocked me. I still don't quite understand why this didn't come top 10 because it was a really strong performance. Maybe it wasn't a winning performance, but I think vocally and just visually this was really good, and I still don't quite understand it. And Spain predicted 3rd and they came 17th. Last in the televote. I still just to this day don't understand why this was so underrated by the televote. It was just musically beautiful, vocally flawless. But, you know, it's one of those songs that just may not appeal to everyone, and I accept that. And I just hope that Spain in general aren't, you know, demotivated, because they're on a roll with Benidorm Fest. And this year they really showed a piece of their culture on the Eurovision stage. Flamenco, very kind of avant-garde, modern, but traditional at the same time, and very kind of lyrically moving. And it just feels so upsetting that this just bombed with the public, and also underrated by the juries in 9th. This should have been higher, just purely because of vocals. I just don't quite understand it, but I can accept it. I just hope this doesn't demotivate Spain. Just keep trying, don't give up, you will get your win eventually. Poland as well, so I said they'd come last and they came 19th, 7 places out, and this was purely because of the televote. This did 8th in the televote. The diaspora came through, but also I think on its own merits, just the song being catchy in a certain way. Visually it was very colourful, it appealed to people, and that's fine, you know, it's all good. So last, I really underrated it. I should have expected this to do better, but you know, that's fine. Slovenia as well, I said 13th, 21st place. Very, very underrated by the jury. Like I said in my jury analysis video, there wasn't very many rock musicians on the juries to fairly assess the rock songs in the competition. And when I say fairly assess, I mean, you know, analyse the song and decide if you like it or dislike it. I think, you know, each song should be represented on the jury by a music professional that understands that type of music, so that they can fairly assess it. That's not score it up, it means either score it up or down based on the knowledge that they have. And that's why it just doesn't feel like a level playing field for some of the genres at Eurovision. So this being scored 21st, don't quite understand, but I have tickets to see them in July, so I'm really excited for that anyway. I can't wait. And also Wild Youth as well. I've been listening to Wild Youth's discography, just as a side note, and my goodness, the only song I skip of theirs is We Are One. Their songs are really good, and so are Joker Outs. And another country that I completely got wrong was the UK, my own country. I said 19th, they came second last, 25th. I'm not surprised at our placing. I think the vocal performance just wasn't up to scratch. It was quite breathy, it was out of time, it didn't feel very confident, and visually it was really good. It just fell a bit flat, and I think the quality that came before our performance and we closed the show just kind of showed us up a little bit. But I think we can keep trying. I think we can replicate the Sam Ryder recipe that we had, and I think we can still do well in the future. Let's not let this set us back. You know, we're not going to go back to the the Stone Age that we had in the past couple of years. And then Germany, 11 places out for this one. So I said 15th and they came last, which is the only time I think in recent years that I completely disagree with Germany coming last. I just think what they brought on stage and how it was rewarded was just totally unfair. I see this as being, you know, very out there, daring, different from the competition, vocally performed so strong by Chris Harms and not rewarded. Again, if you refer to my jury analysis video, you'll probably see why I think this came last. Very unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. So there we go. Those are my comparisons for my predictions and the actual results. Let me know down below, how well did you do in your predictions? And also, you know, how are you feeling a whole month later about the contest? You know, we've had a bit of time to mull over the results. So yeah, consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys soon for more content. I'm going to do a post-contest review and also post-contest top 37 in terms of the live performances. So stick around, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.